Jahn! Utah!
Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of Slapshot Utah.
Yep, we're going to talk all things Utah Hockey Club,
Yeah.
Utah Mammoth, rather.
Any hockey in Utah, pretty much, is what we're trying to cover over here. So, welcome to the first episode. What's up, Leroy?
Nothing good. I just got back from being on vacation,
Yeah.
mildly hungover,
Yeah.
like the long 12-hour, not sick hungover, but kind of in the head in the clouds a little bit.
Yeah, that I-80 drive to Lake Tahoe is brutal,
It's
dude.
a long one.
It's a long one. Also, almost as long as the history of hockey in Utah. And we had breaking news that we need to talk about the Utah Grizzlies going up for sale.
Yep. So Utah Grizzlies are going to play the 25-26 season, but there is a strong possibility they are going to be sold and relocate. And I guess the word is, per Cole Bagley, will likely relocate following the 25-26 season. New ownership group leading the effort to purchase the team would relocate them to Trenton, New Jersey.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think there's any possibility that like Ryan Smith and SEG could somehow coordinate? Because who's our team again? The Americans or something?
Allen Americans is
Yeah,
our
Allen
ECHL
Americans.
team. Yeah.
What do you think the percentage possibility is of we could somehow acquire Grizzlies to be our new team?
Well, it feels like a lot of things would have to line up just perfectly, I mean, okay, so Allen Americans, I think they've been re-upped through 27, I think,
Yeah.
to be the ECHL team for the Mammoth.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if that expired, you would have to bring... I mean, Allen isn't going to relocate. They would have to find a new affiliation.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, I don't know. So there would be a lot of things that would have to line up, and then and either an ownership group or Ryan Smith would have to buy it, and then.
So
hope
if they
that you
moved to
could-
Jersey, would they still be the ECHL of the they're the Avalanche, right?
Yeah, they're the Avalanche. I guess so. I mean, I know
Yeah.
that affiliations change from time to time, but yeah, I would guess it would remain the same.
Huh. That's sad because most of us that grew up in Utah, that was our first exposure to any sort of professional hockey.
Sure. Yeah, it was the only hockey we had for
Years.
the entire time that I've been living in Utah. It's
Same.
been the Utah Grizzlies.
Yeah, I didn't live here when the Golden Eagles were here, so I never experienced that, but
Yeah.
it's kind of sad.
The Grizzlies was a fun hockey experience.
It was.
I mean, lots of fighting
Yeah.
in the ECHL. In fact, that's the thing I always thought that was ironic is that the ECHL rival of our Utah Grizzlies is the Allen Americans.
And it's like bloodbath rival.
Oh,
huh?
yeah, it's gnarly.
Yeah, I always loved going to Grizzlies games. I mean, unfortunately, it's just kind of it's just like the Bees. I always wanted to get in with the Bees, but there's just something more about an actual professional team.
Yeah.
So they just couldn't get the support that the Mammoth have gracefully just inherited.
Well, it feels like one of the inherent weaknesses of minor league sports altogether is the affiliation.
Yeah.
Like it's always like, oh, okay, we're a feeder team or a developmental team for a big league team whose games presumably matter. That's the problem that the Bees or minor league baseball always have.
Yeah.
So everyone's just kind of working on their game. You never know how important it is. Then you end up in a playoff race, and then the major league club pulls up one of their best players. And kind of
Exactly.
screws your team. And so it's like, how important is winning as opposed to developing the players? Although those motherfuckers on the Grizzlies always wanted to win.
Always.
Like
dude.
it was, I mean, it was always so I don't know. I mean, hockey, obviously a different beast, but okay. So look, if it were ideal, what would the ideal situation be for the Utah market? It would be to figure out a way to bring the ECHL team to the E Center and let them be the Grizzlies or whoever, because then, I mean, you can imagine how it would expand the market. Because, I mean, not only the seats over the Delta Center are expensive, but they can be difficult to find from time to time.
For sure.
But if you are going to the minor league club and it's kind of part of the whole market of supporting the Mammoth.
Yeah.
Kind of the same way RSL plays here in town, and then you've got the Monarchs over there in Harriman playing at Zion's Bank. Like, you're still watching your franchise. You're just watching the developmental aspect of it. But I think a lot would have to line up for that to work out perfectly. So the reality of it could be that there just will be no minor league hockey.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
It does suck.
It would be really cool to watch, like, because this is totally off. So, anyone that's listening, I am new to hockey. Leroy is a seasoned vet when it comes to knowing shit. So, and you kind of explained to me, like, about the KHL in Russia.
Yeah.
And it would be cool to, like, watch players develop for the Mammoth.
Right.
You know? Like, 'cause how are you going to watch KHL games? But it would be cool to go down to the Maverick and watch, like, oh, yeah, this kid, we drafted him 3 years ago.
Yeah, he's got a future over the Delta Center.
Yeah,
he's got a future with our club. So, if you don't have tickets to the, the expensive game.
Yeah, you can go $10 and go watch.
Yeah, and it's still kind of supporting the same thing. I mean...
And the Utah Grizzlies is just so dope. Like, the logo.
I know.
Everything about it is so cool.
The bear is cool. So yeah, that's a bummer. There are currently no plans to play past this season, so it's going to be what's the opposite of an inaugural season?
I don't know. The
final? The ultimate season, the final season. It's the last one. It's going to be it's going to be bittersweet.
We definitely got to hit up a game, dude.
Yeah,
probably, dude. Honestly, that last game might be pretty epic to go to.
When's the Grizzlies season over in March? Yeah, that would be cool. As long as it doesn't conflict. See, here's the thing, is I've got this wild summer planned.
Yeah.
Like, my wife and I were doing all the fucking concerts. We're doing all all of our shit, but in October, we're locked down. Because I can't plan anything in October through April because there could potentially be hockey club.
Am I going to go to the final game of the Grizzlies? Or am I going to go watch a playoff game in the Delta Center? Let's be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how close. I can't remember how closely it coincides, but that's just it. Is that, like, if we're in the middle of the playoff run?
Oh yeah. Sorry, Grizz. We love you.
I'll admittedly, I haven't been to a Grizzlies game since
years.
Hockey Club came to town.
Same. But we had to acknowledge it. So
it was always a drunk good time.
It's always a drunk good time.
It's always like somebody sopping up vomit with a pretzel, or like,
Yeah.
It's always because sure, the hockey matters, but
no, it's not, dude. Honestly, even with this inaugural season, the hockey's fun, but it's mostly fun to just be drunk and cheer with your fellow fans and give high fives to people you'll never see again.
Oh, for sure. Well, that's part of the fun of regardless of how much you know about hockey. Yeah. Because there's a lot of Jazz fans that have just kind of entered into
dude.
Yeah, exactly. You've been a Jazz fan since you got here.
Dude, I got a Jazz tattoo, bro. I'm going to add a Mammoth here soon. We'll figure that out.
Yeah, I got to tell you the truth is that I'm kind of rebonding myself to the Jazz in a whole new way now that they suck so bad.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a buy low, sell high when it comes to sports franchises.
Agree.
So
I like liking teams that aren't good.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah, maybe we're just masochist or whatever.
Well, it makes it easy to be kind of a Rockies fan,
right?
And an Angels fan. But yeah, so but I don't know, when it comes to the Jazz crossover, there's I think a lot of basketball fans which are just are still into the whole thing. But that's that's the thing I enjoy the most about it is I love the hockey, but I also love the whole Utah. Everybody's just excited to be on the hockey map.
Yeah.
And
we've talked about it like forever, but I'll just say it because we're recording. But like the fun thing about this Mammoth is it's felt community driven.
Oh yeah.
Like when it comes down to the mascot, the everything, it just seems like the community's kind of built it. And Like you expressed on the last podcast, you were on the puck drop.
The two-line pass.
Oh, two line. Yeah, two line. Yeah. Go check that out. Leroy had a great episode, but like it really just feels like we started clubbers. You know, like everything's just kind of been organic, and it's been really fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, so that's going to be something fun coming up here. Okay, it's hockey. We've already done it. We did one season. We did hockey. But, like, if you look at all the big announcements, like, okay, we've got a preseason schedule now. We'll talk about that in a second. But if you look at all the big franchise announcements that are coming over the next few months, it's going to be a wild summer because there's going to be a mascot.
Yeah.
That's not going to be the Jazz Bear.
Yeah.
Presumably.
I'm excited to see what they do.
Have you seen any of the footage of the inside of the DC all ripped up?
I saw the first one that they put out like 2 months ago.
That's going to be really interesting.
That's going to be cool.
It's going to be interesting because one of those, I don't know if they're just going to put up a curtain or how finished it's going to be.
Yeah.
But between that and the mascot, and when is the schedule released? July 17th,
Something
I think
like
it
that.
is.
Yeah.
So now you know how to, because I don't know how to plan my winter until I know what days I absolutely have to be.
Literally, dude. Yeah, literally. We're planning a trip. We want to go see him play on the road, but we're like, we can't make any plans because I want to pick a good road
exactly.
game, you know?
I'm probably going to roadie when they go, because they usually do the Kings and the Ducks kind of on the same trip. Kind of
That'd be fun to do a Bam Bam in L.A.
That's what I'm thinking. That might be the way to go. Pick up a Tommy Burger or whatever down there, but yeah. So I exactly can't plan your life now until you know what the schedule is going to be. Now we do know the preseason schedule.
Yeah,
I'll tell you one thing we do know about the regular season schedule that's a hint is that there's concerts booked October 7th through October 11th at the Delta Center, and the 12th is a Sunday, so they're not going to have the first game of the season home opener on a Sunday. So you got to figure the home opener has got to be something like October 14th on a Tuesday, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. So
it's usually Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, Tuesday or a Wednesday. Yeah, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. The home opener will be on a Wednesday or something. But yeah, I can't really plan my winter, and so I just leave everything open. I'm going to Judas Priest on the 12th, and I'm shutting it down.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that's the thing too is that. You know, I'm planning that there's going to be playoff hockey in April.
There's for sure. It's playoffs or bust.
So maybe we should talk about, before we get into the playoff hockey talk, which is the Stanley Cup Finals.
Dude, that was crazy.
Yeah, it was a crazy final series. I watched more hockey. I mean, it was 2 games a night every night of the week for the first couple rounds. So what I noticed, my take, especially from the finals.
Yeah.
All right. But my take is that as much as I want our team to make the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I think we will.
Yeah.
We don't have the juice to hang with those dudes.
Dude, I love Cools. I love Gunner. I love all of them. You just watch McDavid and you watch these like upper echelon, like we don't have a guy. And every team has a guy.
Well, the other thing that really struck me though too is that like the toughness, how flippin' rough, dude, like, that hockey is. Like I mean, you know, we've got, you know, Hayton will stick up for himself, and Jack McBain's kind of tough, and you know, Liam Neeson is usually a healthy scratch, so he's not on there anyways. But like, you look at those lines, like the 3 and 4 lines for the Panthers and for the Oilers. God. And the way they can just beat up on each other, like our team is not even nearly physical enough to be able to hang in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And that was my biggest takeaway.
Agreed.
Like, we're going to make the playoffs, but we're going to get our asses kicked.
Agreed.
We're going out first round.
Edmonton, I think overall might have been like more skillful, but Panthers are just bullies.
Yeah.
They'll just beat the shit out of you the whole time.
Yeah.
60 minutes nonstop. You're going to get your ass beat.
And it's every line that's on the ice. And everybody throws it. And I think, and that's the reason too, where you get so many Stanley Cup veterans on the team to like teach your team, your youngsters, how to compete.
Yeah, the Marchand ended up being a vital trade.
Perfect example. Like the gut. It's a different gear of hockey in late Stanley Cup playoffs.
Agreed.
And so you really kind of see, oh yeah, making the playoffs, that's just the first step. Like, we've got half a decade of trying to get our shit together. And I think that's the importance of having Sergachev, besides being a great player, like Sergachev or Olli Mata is another example. Like, there's Stanley Cup winners, they know what it takes to win because there's this extra gear once you get into the later round of the playoffs that you've got to transform to some other kind of team.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it did. And even first round was awesome.
Oh, first round.
Second round, awesome.
Yeah.
It's just, those guys are on another level. And you really see the difference of a Stanley Cup team and a playoff team.
Oh,
It's
yeah, for sure.
Even me that doesn't really know much about hockey, I'm watching, I go, oh, that team's really freaking good.
Well, they say that the Stanley Cup is the hardest sports championship to win.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see why, the grind and everything that goes into it, but it being the hardest to win, gosh, it feels in some ways like the hardest to lose, dude. And I don't mean like the hardest, like you can screw it up. I don't mean that way, but it's like, imagine the Oilers' second year in a row to climb that mountain.
Hey, as a Jazz fan, I feel it. I feel it, Edmonton. I feel it.
Yeah. So, I mean, to climb your way up to the top of the mountain and have that boulder roll back down over you, the hangover, because, obviously the party's still going on.
Oh.
For the Panthers. They're...
he hasn't even stopped drinking. I keep seeing videos of him all over Twitter.
Yeah, well, and Sam Bennett is partying it up and everything. Now, there was I think it was Elliot Friedman was saying, watch out for, because, I don't think Marchand is going to stay with the team.
Hey.
Elliot Friedman was saying he could end up in Utah.
I'm not opposed to that.
I don't know how I feel about it.
Really?
Well, he's the Rat. And if you've spent any time... See, I've got this rivalry with Boston sports that I'm actually kind of giving up a little bit.
Yeah.
But...
you're LA kid.
Well, yeah, and I don't know why that would make me opposed to Boston, or maybe it's just the Boston attitude, which, like I said, I'm kind of chilling out about. But that's the thing, is kind of learn to hate Marchand in Boston, because Marchand is the ultimate NHL hockey rat.
Yeah.
He's the guy who starts shit and lets somebody else clean it up.
Yeah. But he got a lot of championships.
Well, he's a winner, that's for sure. And so I don't know. I love the youth movement. I like all the younger players.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to see anything screw that up. That's kind of like I'm with the Marner. Although it sounds like Mitch Marner is, he got a lot of heat, not heat, but a lot of hot. Oh yeah, Utah's really going to be in on the market. It sounds like it's kind of down to either the Kings, which I think is a good fit for Mitch Marner, or the Vegas Golden Knights, because there's no income tax.
Yeah, and I think most athletes, once you're getting your next, you get your rookie contract, then you get your next contract, the last one that's your final career, you want to be with a contender, and we're just not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's the other thing, too, is I guess the word is that he's only going to sign a 3 or 4 year contract, not the big 8-year contract, because of the way the salary cap is changing.
Yeah.
You don't want to lock $10 million sounds like a great contract right now, but when the salary cap expands and people have more money to spend, it could be a completely different type of contract that people are scoring. And so you would think, Mitch Marner, he's going to want $12 million a year for 7-8 years, but the rumor is now he might just go for 3 or 4 years and play the market again in a few years. So we'll see.
I saw a fun tweet that was no player with a current $10 million or more contract has won the Stanley Cup ever.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that's surprising. It's
surprising, but it also makes sense, because I'm just going to relate it to the NFL. If you look, most teams that go through a run, their quarterback's on a rookie deal.
Uh-huh.
And once the quarterback gets paid, you can't pay really anyone else. So I wonder if it's the same thing with hockey, because you have so many, if you can get all your lines good.
For sure. Well, and if you can get him in, Dylan Gunther is a perfect example. People were kind of are you crazy? You're going to give that guy 7-8 years on almost $8 million a year?
I'm so happy they did.
Well, that's your $12 million player in 3 or 4 years.
Exactly.
Except you've got him locked in at 7-8 million instead of 12 million. I mean, that's going to be Cooley. That's Gunther. Like, who knows? That could be Daniel Boot. Like, and that was my whole thing from the beginning. I've said this on a different pod, but I said from the beginning, when it comes to Mitch Marner's, like, you spend too much money burning a hole in our pocket because it's the greatest, latest, most exciting, expensive thing, you know, that you're going to try and buy this bitchin' part for our machine to make it go faster. And that's just it. You've got to find out what you really have. And, like, they've already invested multiple first-round picks in the guys that are coming. So those could be the potential $11, $12 million players. And you've got to pay Cooley at some point.
They have to.
You're going to have to give Clayton Keller a raise. Like, there's a whole politic that goes into how you pay players. You can't bring in Mitch Marner at $12, $13 million and then continue to play Clayton Keller $7 million a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, all that's like a complicated dance that goes into, you know, who we're going to sign or what we're going to get. But the word I keep hearing is that we're going to make some kind of big, impressive move. So
we'll see.
Interesting to see how the team gets built.
We'll just, because I haven't done any research on the draft. I'm not going to lie. What do you think our potential, like, draft picks are? Do you think we trade our draft pick? Do you think we...
Okay, trading it would be cool, but you're not going to be able to trade a fourth rounder for a guy.
Yeah.
It's not going to work that way. Like, it would have to be a package deal. And fourth, and Matthias Michelli, who's going to be moved at some point probably, that's not going to get it done either.
Yeah.
Like, if you want a big player, like that was a thing like Tage Thompson from the Buffalo Sabres. He was supposed to be available. If you want a player like that, it's going to have to be this year's first, next year's first, you know, a player this. We're going to have to take another player to clean, you know, their roster cap up, clean up some of their contracts. That was the thing with Jason Robertson from the Stars. He might be available, but in order to score a player like that, it's going to take resources.
Multiple draft picks.
Yeah, exactly.
And guys, yeah.
But, I mean, for the Jazz fan who's kind of, you know, like if, let's say the Jazz, they draft somebody in the first round, he's going to be on the court.
Yeah, for sure.
At least as a role player.
At a fifth overall, he's playing.
Yeah, he's going to play.
Yeah.
Even if he's just a bench player, he's going to be on the club. Well, it doesn't really work that way with NHL. So,
they draft people that they're in Russia still.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The way it works at NHL is that you draft and you get the rights for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
But let's say you got a Russian player that just because a Mammoth draft him doesn't mean he's coming to America immediately to play in our minor league system. It doesn't really work that way. He's going to play in the KHL. We just have 3 years to sign him, which is kind of what happened with Simashev and Boot.
Yeah.
It's okay. They're good enough now. Their time, you know, the window of their 3 years since they were drafted, which was 2023, that window is kind of coming. So you're going to have to make a move on them. You can either draft them and then bring them to the club, to the major league club, to the NHL club. Jeez. And they can play in Tucson, but ultimately you're kind of bringing them in to the NHL. So they go back and play, whether it's the Ontario.
But we're getting the KHL guys, right?
Yeah, they're coming.
Yeah, they brought them up.
Yeah, and they can play in Tucson, but there's a certain amount of games they can or cannot play. But
oh, really?
Yeah, it's a little complicated, but you get 3 years, and that's the thing, like, with the goaltender situation is, okay, so we've got, obviously, Vejmelka. Obviously, he's the number one guy. It's hard to know whether or not Connor Ingram is coming back 100%, or I've heard give up, and we're going to need to draft somebody else.
You think he retires?
I don't think so. He's in a perfect situation, to tell you the truth, because... if you're the number two guy, and he's kind of, you know, I won't say he's a fan favorite, but he's certainly the fans have got his back.
For sure.
Like, so.
We love you, Ingy.
Well, yeah. And so it's not a huge pressure situation. And remember, he was supposed to be the number one guy coming in last season.
Oh, yeah.
But at any rate, Rabel, whatever his name is, Matt Rabel, he plays for Boston College. We've got 3 years to sign that guy. Well, he's going back to Boston College this year to play.
Oh, he didn't declare for the draft or whatever?
Well, he's already been drafted by us, but then you draft, and then he went to Boston College. See, it's a little different.
Yeah.
So we've got the rights to him, but he's going to finish up at Boston College. So
shit.
Yeah. So
Well, I'm gonna watch Boston College this hockey season. Then.
yeah. So at any rate, like the way that's to get at it, it's not like we're the Jazz where they draft somebody who's going to be on the bench, and so we draft somebody and we're looking at a couple years of development, which is kind of the shame of Tisha Ginla from last year. He got injured and it kind of blew his development season, and so he's about a year behind based on how much training and playing he would have got otherwise for us to really see what we've got. But I mean, you don't draft somebody 6 with the intention of they're not going to work out, and that's kind of like where we're at with 4. It almost doesn't make any sense to trade it.
Just shoot your shot.
I think Logan Cooley was 6 overall.
Oh shit! If we
Where
can get
was
another
he?
Cools,
I
I'm
think-
down.
Yeah, well, and so that's the question: is who is the next Logan Cooley, and can you afford? Because that's size. Well, going back to the Stanley Cup talk. Those are big dudes.
They're fucking huge.
Yeah, there were no little teams
No.
in the final 4.
They're
in their
6'6"
si- in
without
the
skates.
Yeah.
And they're going crazy.
Yeah. So if you've got too many skill positions or too many skill type players, then you run the risk of investing in a team that's going to be undersized someday. And so that's part of the guessing game as well. Who is Utah going to take? Best player available, or do we have to kind of streamline that to getting a guy who's 6'3", 210 pounds, looking at you, Porter Martone? Like, that's the question: is how are we trying to build the team here? And the instinct would be we need a sizey top 6 forward.
Yeah, for sure.
And who's that going to be? And Porter Martone was arguably a top 4 type pick, but now we're into all sorts of other players. James Hagens is kind of like, he's like the next Logan Cooley.
Jake O'Brien.
Now Brian is more of a physical player.
Yeah.
And that's, I doubt he's going to go in the first 5 or 6 picks, and then there's Brady Martin, who was kind of the surprise. The funny thing is, I remember last year getting into the draft discussion and just thinking for sure we're going to get, was it Zach Perek, or I'm trying to remember the guy's name that I almost thought for sure we were going to end up getting, what was his name? Yakimchuk. I'm like, Yakimchuk is perfect.
Such a good name too.
Well, and I thought for sure that we'd be drafting a defenseman last year.
Yeah, for sure.
We didn't,
They got Sergi though.
Yeah, well, that ended up coming to us and everything. But so at any rate, it's always a guessing game. And you look at last season, it was the Anaheim Ducks had 3 overall, and they end up picking Beckett Seneca, who was supposed to be like 16th or 17th. So some GMs, they just know who their guy is going to be, and they're going to grab him. And it seems like Bill Armstrong is that kind of guy.
I trust Billy, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he knows more about hockey than
He's forgotten more than I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did a great job with the Blues, and I'm hoping that he can kind of funnel that power into our Mammoth too.
Yep. Well, and there's all sorts of, there's possibilities of moving forward. I mean, we're loaded next. Like, we've got all sorts of
so
picks
many
next year.
picks.
Yeah. And we've got more prospects than we can really sign as well. And that's kind of when you get into like, well, how are we going to make a deal? I mean, if you're looking at the defensemen, and we've got Dursey, Marino, Sergachev, Mata, Cole, Kesselring, right? Now we're at 6. And then you've got Maverick Lamoureux in the minors, and Simishev is coming up.
He looks like a beast, by the way.
He's a big dude.
He looks like a beast.
Yeah. Well, and then the other guy coming from Locomotive, Daniel Boot. If you guys will remember, it was the developmental game, like the prospects game was the first, look at the team before we even had jerseys. They were just the black pullover jerseys.
Did you go to that?
Yeah, I did.
Was that dope?
Daniel Boot was he was like the MVP.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was blowing it up. Like he was dominant.
Hell yeah.
That's when I thought his name was still Butt.
But yeah, Daniel Butt.
Daniel Butt. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. But you're right, Jake O'Brien is moving up. He could end up getting drafted early. You know, Porter Martone was supposed to be 3, and now, you know, people are talking he's going to go up outside of the top 6. But my prediction, not that it's worth shit, but my prediction is Caleb Denwye. I think that's going to be the guy we end up taking, but who knows? Anything could happen. But James Higgins was supposed to be the most skilled overall player in the draft. Outside of like Michael Misa, and he's fallen. You know?
Damn.
But he's a small guy too. He's like 5'10".
No, we need big. We need big people.
You would think. But then again, I don't know how Bill Armstrong is putting the team together, so he might have just some great idea. But all the buzz is there's going to be major, big, exciting moves made this offseason. So
dope.
Yeah.
So what I've gathered as the idiot fan, draft picks don't matter as much as they do in the NFL or NBA, because people just draft people all the time. So number 4 overall pick's not a big a deal.
Well, I think it is a big deal. You can get a great player. They're just not going to make an immediate impact.
Yeah,
impact.
like a 4th overall, you can't really just package it with one player and get a beast. Right?
Yeah.
Or no? Depends on the draft.
maybe. Okay, I tell you, it's more significant than like the Major League Baseball draft.
Oh, okay.
You pick somebody 1st overall, there's like a likelihood they are going to stink.
Yeah, they'd probably get Tommy John in a week.
Right. Well, I mean, and it happens all the time. The 1st overall is kind of, inconsequential, and it takes years to see any impact. NHL's
outside
not
of Paul Skeens.
Yeah, he was great. But like now that we get into a baseball talk, but Mickey Moniak went 1st overall, and he's just barely a fringe player for the Rockies right now. And so it's not, but then again, baseball revolves so much around these really fine skills, these real subtle differences in skill set, where I think this year you're going to be guaranteed, if you're picking first 4 or 5, you're going to get a good player.
Cool.
Year. He's just not going to make an immediate impact. He's not going to be
Rookie of the year
I'm trying
type
to
shit.
think, who's the 1st overall supposed to be for NHL? It's one of those.
Couldn't tell you. Yeah, I have no idea.
He'll end up being probably a quarterback and carry a clipboard, or he'll start for a shitty team in the 1st season, but it's not going to work that way. But they're good players.
Yeah, I hear that.
So yeah, I don't. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Last year's draft surprised me. Mm-hmm. Just because the way they said it was going to go down, it didn't necessarily go down that way, and I suppose it's that way every year. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. I'm excited though to see who we get.
I'm really excited. I'm going to. That's the 27th. That's the
27th.
Friday.
Dang.
Yeah, it's coming right around.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap this up, Lee. This is our 1st episode. I think it went pretty smooth.
I think it did go pretty smooth. How many? Are we already 30 minutes?
Dude, we're 30. Yeah, we're a little over 30 minutes.
Okay. Did we want to talk about before we go the preseason schedule that got
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so like I mentioned, picks 7. October 7th through 11th, Delta Center is booked. Okay, so you've got, remember, the Delta Center's being renovated.
Yeah.
So they've kind of got the schedule, the preseason schedule loaded so that the only real preseason homes games in the Delta Center are at the very end of the preseason, because they're playing versus Colorado, Anaheim, Vegas on the road through
September they're playing 25th. One of those in like Boise.
Yeah, they play the Kings in Boise.
Yeah.
Boise,
that's crazy. That's cool.
Trip.
That's fun.
Road trip up to Boise.
That would be fun.
Yeah, Boise is kind of a cool town.
I've heard.
So yeah, October 2nd and October 4th.
Are those at the Delta Center?
Yeah, those are at the Delta Center. So that's the. So I might go to one of those games.
Yeah,
I'm going to both.
I'll go to the San Jose Sharks one for sure on the Saturday, the 4th.
Yeah, I'll go to one or the other of them, but I save most of my hockey juju for
Yeah.
regular season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to.
So anyways, all sorts of interesting things going to happen this summer. There's going to be free agents. There's going to be draft picks. There's going to be mascots.
Let's go.
Eventually, they're going to have to sell us some jerseys.
Dude, I'm so ready for these jerseys, dude.
Yeah.
They look so dope.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's not the next few days. Because
Me
I
neither,
thought I heard that they'd be available by the draft. But it's going to be very cool to see that Utah Mammoth jersey be given away to our number one pick, whoever that is, 4th overall. So
I'm so excited.
yeah, it's going to be a great season, fun off season, lots of crazy, interesting things in the Utah hockey world are going to happen.
Yep, and we're going to be here with you guys. So thank you all for listening. This is the first episode of Slapshot Utah, Lee.
Yeah!
Let's go.
Let's go.
Slapshot! Utah!